Dinesh made the presentation, he spoke about scale. Is that right? Alright, so what you're seeing is really scale, the surface level. There's a lot which goes while we are doing this talent piece or developing leaders of tomorrow, etc. Raul spoke about leadership is contextual. Just to share with you, if you do Google, there are 6,000 definitions of leadership. And they've not captured the leadership definition we have in IDFC or various places, right? As I get into this presentation, there's another thing we have learned from Sachin Tendulkar. Okay, and this is a struggle which a lot of L&D, OD people face is learning to practice, right? And what you learn from Sachin Tendulkar is that he gets coaching, he does that practice, and then he goes on to Oval Maidan, one match to second match to third match to fourth match, right? He doesn't stop just at net practice. And that's what we try to do here in terms of what we're doing in IDFC around leadership development. We're making sure that yes, you get the coaching, you do some net practice when you're doing the training or the group you have. But it's very important that you have match practice, and that's practicing back at work. While my introduction was done, it said business solution, our focus is clearly business solution, and we are very clear that it has to have Monday morning activity. A learning development intervention can't look at saying 6 months down the line, this guy is going to become this, and let's give him input now. The reality is, we all forget, right? And if you don't provide enough environment where people can do match practice back on Monday morning, apply the learning they've had, chances are your training programs may not be as successful. Dinesh used the word collaborative leadership. I'm just going to borrow from him. This is something which you've done, which is more around collaborative development. Alright? So there's a struggle IDFC had last year in terms of, we're talking about set of about 100 employees, okay? Whether to go with coaching, shall we coach 100 employees? If you coach 100 employees, the coaching cost would be anywhere between 2.5 crores to 5 crores. And if you go for a training program, the struggle, the challenge is, how sure are we that at least 60% of the employees are going to apply learning back at work? So that's the challenge we had. The other challenge we had is, yes, we have done good training programs. How else can we, and the feedback we got from training programs is, yeah, I got to know people from different silos, and this partnership which is developing. How do we sustain this partnership? That was another challenge which was thrown to every team, saying, how can you ensure that your training is effective? We don't spend as much money as we do on coaching. We want the intervention to be highly customized to the individual. At the same time, we want these individuals to develop certain amount of partnership. If not trust, certain amount of authenticity. Right? So what did we do? We came up with something which is called as integrated coaching program. And if Dinesh was to do this, he would have called it integrated collaborative program. Alright, so there's a lot of collaboration which happened. How did we reach here? How did we conceptualize ICP? I shared with you, it was stemming from the need to engage and develop our partners. Partners are our future leaders. Alright, so these are the guys which 100 people who need to be clearly engaged. Alright, we didn't want to go coaching, it was too expensive. We didn't want to go training route. Back at work activity is a challenge. The three diagrams you see here, right? So there's a foundation of the entire integrated coaching program, and that stems from a 360-degree feedback. Alright? So in IDFC, there are various tools the employees have. There's a repository employee can go to, and you can say, okay, I've got my insight profile, which is based on work done by Carl Jung, I've got my 270, I've got my various kind of assessment on judgment, time, and influence. And then which one do I focus on? The foundation for the entire integrated program or the learning intervention is what we call as development dialogue. Okay, this is a three-way dialogue with the manager and the coach. Alright, and the employee is in charge. Employee takes a call in terms of what development need I have. The moment you shift the needle to the employee, the ownership is a lot higher. Alright, that's what we realized. And chances of employee working on it over a period of time also shifts significantly. And that's the experience we are having right now. So development dialogue, three-way, you bring in all the reports, employee chooses, okay? We actually force the employee to look at just one development need. In our experience, and that's something which you might consider as best practice, you give them too many, they get lost. As any profession, if you keep one, the ability of your reporting back to the CEO is high. Right? You give 2, 50% don't do it, 50% is done. You're going to get questioned on why 50% did not happen. So it's better to go with less is more. That's what we do. Employee in charge, coach is there. The coach gets attached to the employee. The next step is what we call as the integrated coaching program. Alright? Now, the push was partnership, right? We need to develop certain amount of partnership, authenticity within the various silos we have. So we looked at the max mix, or as some of you might call it, microcosm of the organization. So we did 6 employees group. So 100 employees, we had 20, we went take 20 groups. 6 employees in each integrated coaching group, led by a coach. What happens here? Okay. So I've got my development dialogue. Suppose the 4 of you, right? You're going through integrated coaching program. The 4 here would go through a development dialogue with their respective supervisors, and they are attached to a dedicated coach. They come together, something like this, and they share what their development goal is. Not in the first meeting, but in the second meeting, because the first meeting is really about building trust with this cohort. The leaders are going to be far more conscious of what they're sharing with someone who's from another side. And so there's no way you can simply push them into talking about their development goal immediately. You need to develop a certain amount of trust. So there's a good one day spent building authenticity or trust within the group. Once that is established, right, you got the basic, the foundation going, where there's enough authenticity, where there's enough freedom, where there's enough trust to conduct in a certain manner where employees are open to share their development goal, you start the entire development journey. And this is where the collaborative piece which Dinesh spoke about comes into play, right? So these 4, now 5, alright, 5 of you start to share your development goal. And the remaining 4 start to give you input in terms of what they think according to the worldview they have. Because we're talking about senior leadership, we're talking about employees with about 15 years experience here. They will definitely have a decent worldview in terms of what you're going through. As you do that, the other piece which happens on the periphery is, while I'm sharing, or this person who's looking at the mobile now is sharing his development goal, the others are also learning because they're providing input. Alright, they're also learning in terms of what's happening. So it's just not about my development goal. I get to learn about others also. And the moment I start to provide input, my ability to engage, my ability to understand that there are other nuances which I can increases substantially. Right. This goes on for some time, and coming back to the match practice, you have sessions spread over a period of 9 months. So you're giving time and space. So this is a place where the group comes together, there's a coach giving coaching, there's net practice which is going on. So, okay, fair enough, what do we mean, what does it mean, challenges, etc., etc. You slowly get into some amount of peer coaching. You go back to office, you do match practice. Right? So I've learned something, I'm going to practice this now. So my leadership goal is, let's say, spot opportunity. Thought leadership, spotting opportunity. I'm going to go back, I'm going to spot opportunity. Come back and report to the group how my experience was around this development. I might fail, so the group will further provide me input saying, okay, this is how I think you can do spot. Right? So then over a period of time, you keep engaging, you keep reporting back. So there's match practice, you come back, you do some net practice, go back, match practice, and Gary Kirsten is there to provide you coaching. Right? Now, obviously, if you're doing so much work, you want it to be known to the organization at the same time. You started with the development dialogue where 3-way with the manager, then with the coach. You close it with another dialogue. Now here, the manager is in charge. The manager provides feedback to the employee in terms of how he or she has seen the development journey. Yeah. So you do it over a period of time and space, over a period of 8 to 9 months, so on and so forth. We did a little SWOT in terms of what does ICT do. The ICT can various things, right? It has actually helped build a lot of trust, authenticity with the 100 people who are going through ICT currently. This is a version 2 which we are doing. There's a lot of focused development, individualized development. One key goal, individualized to the person. It's not a generic training program where you get influencing as an example. Alright? There's serious tracking which happens. You have to report back to the group. And the moment I become public, just like Robin Sharma spoke about, saying if you have a goal, go public with it. The moment I become public, the accountability increases substantially, right? So that happens. There's a clear shift in ownership, right? Because I'm in charge, I've chosen the goal, I'm working on it, I'm giving input, taking input, so shift in ownership. So the externalization to say that my manager is not supportive enough or there are not enough tools available to do integrated coaching or my own development reduces substantially. Of course, there's sense of control. What are the challenges, some of the weaknesses of this program is the peer coaching is not an easy one, and specifically the leadership level, that's a learning, right? It takes some time. It takes some time to challenge another person from another department who seems to be a good person, a good leader. It also requires certain nuances in terms of ask the intent that the coaching process. It doesn't come easy to us. If the integrated coaching program is well, it can do a lot, right? It can clearly build a culture where you're looking at development as a key focus. You can leverage this to do a lot of other interventions because these guys, the 6 and the 20 groups of 100 employees, have become far more open to looking at inputs because they see merit in terms of what's happening. Yeah, the weakness clearly, there tends to be dependence on the coach. The peer coaching piece, there's a tendency to be dependent on the coach. The manager is involved in between, not extensively, so that can become a weakness. If you start to look at this practice, you have to be mindful of the culture of the company you represent, right? And if the company is not open to looking at people coming together from various places, being open, etc., then you might like to look at something else. But the culture of the place plays a significant role in terms of when you're looking at going to look at this practice of integrated coaching program. Yep, so I just sum it up by again going back to what Sachin does, right? Net practice, match practice, keep that in mind, it will be very helpful. And you know, with any professional, we just have to keep in mind each time we can push in terms of measurement. It keeps it clear. I have a quote for some of the business leaders who keep pushing on saying, okay, ROI is really what gets counted need not be measured, and what gets measured need not be counted. Right? So just keep that in mind. With this, we come